First, I want to ask you just to share your background in teaching for me.
Okay, my background starts with I have a psychology degree, and I also have a master's in elementary education. I've been a school teacher, and I've had a lot of experience teaching the elementary level, and that basically was from pre-K to fifth grade. And also in this teaching experience that I've had to implement curricula. I had to come up with different strategies, how to teach students to read, just being part of the lesson plans. How do you teach a child in different grades? So I was a planner and a strategic planner in all these type of educational systems. The other thing that I also took in consideration during my education, I had to take in consideration the cultures, individual cultures that children came in the classrooms with. I had to think about diversity. You know, what was diversity? What did it look like? And also I had to think about individual learning. You had to teach in a group setting, but in the same time, you had to individualize. You had to look at the individual student and figure out lesson plans and activities to teach them, even though they were in a group setting. So that's basically how my educational system is about. It's a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, a lot of implementation, and putting it into action, and always evaluating. You know, you never want to forget, you have to evaluate. You have to change things around because you're teaching a child. You have to be totally responsible.
And I love that you're so passionate about what you do, about reading and teaching. Like, I just want to know, like, why are you so passionate about children? Because I really find it interesting.
Oh, that's wonderful for you to say. When you talk about passion, to me, it really going back to my life in the beginning of my education or my jobs, I guess you might say. It started with when you go back to it. It starts with smiles. It sounds very simple, okay? But it starts with smiles. And when you are in a classroom or in a large setting with any age, it doesn't matter what age the children are at. They can be 5, they can be 10, they can be 15, 20, and so on. The smiles are a connection. And the smile says, I like you, maybe you like me. It's that situation where a self-concept starts to build. You have this connection with students. Then the next thing, that when you're teaching and you're in this group setting, you see hands going up. And boy, as a teacher and an educator, you love those hands going up because you know their prior knowledge is coming into your classroom. Their interest, whatever they're interested in, and that's what you got to take a hold of. Their interest. You want to teach along their interest. If they're interested in what you're teaching and what your materials are, they're going to pay attention. They're going to get involved. And this is where their special talents come in. I go to different schools now and hospitals and different places. And even, you know, with UNF students, the president and I do a Zoom. And I always want to bring in a situation, like even a small little book, because it doesn't matter what age they are. They want to hear, you know, something that's positive, something to encourage them, something to meet their needs, something to build them up. So this is so important. And you want, you know, starting from a young age, you want them to identify their talents, use them. And of course, at any age, you want them to act on them. But don't forget, they have to practice them to get better and better and better. And you as an educator have to be the model of this. You can't expect students to do certain activities or give them a curriculum and you're not part of it and you're not interested. You have to have high expectations. Students are going to notice. What are the expectations? What am I supposed to gear up to? You evaluate. You always evaluate. Very, very important. And you change things around. You change it with the time. Right now, we're changing learning. You know, when you see this learning that's going on, it's really online. And think about UNF professors, staff, administrators. They have to think of incredible ways. You know, they have to be innovative. Not do they only teach the material, but they have to see what the needs are of the students they're teaching. What hard times, mental health comes in big time right now. And even if you're teaching online, you've got to be quick and you have to pick up. What are the needs? How can we help you? And that's when the president, when he does the Zooms and he puts me in there with them, I love that part, but I'm invited, you know, and these students, they're small group, but they're invited to speak with the president because the president is a great listener. He wants to listen. You know, what difficulties are they having? Or are some positives are they having? So we're intertwined. You know, our daily lives, our academic lives are intertwined today. They're intertwined. Yes.
And I see that. And I know it's hard for a lot of students nowadays to be learning online. You know, I have some difficulties with it myself, but I love that, you know, you're just so passionate. And another question I wanted to ask you, like, what inspires you to do the magical storytime stories? Because I've seen a lot of your videos and I'm just like, wow, I love them.
Well, first of all, I love it that you said, wow. You know, that's an incredible, the word that you just said right now is wow. I think that's what students need to hear. Because through these stories, you want to get a wow factor from them. And that wow factor to me means you want to entertain them. You know, one of my goals is I want to entertain you. You're not going to movie theaters. You're not out there doing maybe, you know, fine art type of situations. So I want to entertain you. The next thing I want to do is I want to put you in an adventure. In an adventure. Then I want you, the third step, to be using your imagination. We all, doesn't matter our ages, we all love to use our imagination. So hopefully all those three concepts are going to rise at storytelling time. But then at the very end, what I do, I have connected activities, learning activities. You know, like who's the author, who's the illustrator, giving them the definitions. Maybe one day through these readings, they want to become an author. But even right now when they're at home, they can create their own books. They can be little illustrators. They can use their imagination to put on puppet shows. You know, and some of my books are a lot about socialization, kindness, you know, giving them a message out there that says kindness rules. What kind of things can you do at home now to say thank you? What are different ways to say thank you? It's not just words, but how can you other ways be expressive? How do you show responsibility? You're a family, part of a family member. How do you show responsibility? Do you help with the dishes? Do you help with the laundry? See, we think sometimes we're stuck in, and we are, and we don't like being stuck in. We're used to being out. But boy, there's a lot of learning going on in a different type of direction. But that direction, when you go out there again, you're going to use these skills. And the students are going to figure out talents and skills that they have to even get better, to enlighten themselves. They're going to practice them. You know, when we're at home right now, we're practicing different things that we weren't practicing as much anymore. And we're learning a lot about ourselves. So, you know, I read sometimes these group of students at UNF, you know, I want them to think about, you know, I know you're having a hard time, but you know, all of us are kind of in the same boat right now, but I want you to dare to dream big. Don't lose your journey. Keep working hard to get to the levels you want to be at. What kind of job do you want? What are you interested in? You know, for them to have those in their minds. because if we don't do those type of things, we might lose the magic, you know? So when you see everything behind me, you know, and a lot of times I'll wear, like if I'm reading a certain story, like if I'm reading a story about wild animals and how they were very kind to one another and what they did for each other. I'll have, you know, some kind of clothing that shows like wild animals are coming. I'll have the puppets and they're talking. So through this, they can see examples, you know. I want to show them examples. What does it mean through characters? You know, as adults, we can tell them all these things, but when you show them examples, they get it so much better because they can relate to that much easier. You know, it's like if you do something, you learn it quicker than just somebody telling you. And so I'm totally excited about everything. We continue to do this. We have a lot of students watching. It can be the UNF preschool. It can be students from UNF at any age. It can be students out in the community, especially public, private schools, teachers that are learning to be teachers. We want to teach them also some ways how to make books come alive. The most important thing that is happening right now is hopefully the love of reading.
Yes.
Students love reading, you know, that they feel comfortable. They might become familiar with a book. They might see it in their libraries later. And they say, oh, Miss Szymanski read that book. You know, they know this book. They might ask their teacher to read it because they're familiar with it. And they pick up the book and they read it. And their reading skills get better. Their reading skills get better. That's another one. Right now, they might be losing some academics. So when they have I'm a you know, elementary school teacher, I can figure out the academic concepts that need to be taught at this age. And I just bring them up. You know, we do activities, I review the skills. So it's a total package because students are a total package. And you have to look at the individual parts that create this package, you know, the package of beauty and smile. So that's what I have to say. I'm totally excited, as you can tell, color, smiles, and everything around me, you know?
I love that. I really do. Like, I have to say, Ms. Szymanski, like you are really an inspiration to like teachers out there, because like we really are going through tough times, and you're just all smiles and bright colors. I really love
Thank
that.
you so much. Yeah, and when I get to talk to the UNF students, you know, on Zoom, or when I'm at the university and I meet them and they have their smiling faces and I have mine and they say their names and their majors, that is the biggest highlight. That is the biggest highlight when I connect myself to UNF, are those students, the biggest highlight. And then seeing the administrators and staff, you know, professors that are doing their very best right now to make this happen in a difficult situation. As you can tell, we are a team. We are a UNF team. It takes different parts to make this team, but we all are responsible. And this is how we all get to use our talents. You know, all those team members are using their talents today, and we have to celebrate them. And I thank you today for reaching out to me to keep me going, to make me more motivated, and to continue this learning process. Because, you know, we want students to have everything. We just want them to have a good experience to reach their wonderful journeys that they're planning. You know, they count on us. They count on us. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you so much for joining me today. This was a really great interview. This is really amazing. I can't wait to just bring your story out.
When you're interviewing and you made me feel very comfortable, I liked your smiles. I like the way, your passion. I can see your passion. If you're in communication, you have a personal passion because you have to figure out ways how to communicate. And you change lives the way you teach other people to communicate or the way you communicate with them. So, you have a big job to do, but that's why you major it in, because you're good at it and you have a passion. And that's what we have to remember and let everybody know. They're important.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I feel like I met a new friend today. I love that. I love that.
I love this. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna get a chance to speak with her. And you're such a beautiful person. You have a great soul. And I love that. Like keep doing what you're doing. It's amazing.
Kindness. It goes a long way. I grew up that way. You have to be kind to everyone you meet. It makes a difference. You can change the world by one word. Kindness, and really two words, kindness and support. And of course, teaching. Kindness, support, and teaching. That's what it's all about.
And you most definitely have my support.
I hope I get to meet you in person sometime. Maybe I'll read a book. No.
I hope so. I hope so. Like I am hearing that we are prepping, like reopening the school. So I hope, safely, I get a chance to meet you and we can talk in person.
Definitely. I'll make sure of it. Okay.
Thank you, Mrs. Szymanski.
Thank you. You have a good day now. Thank you.
You too.